So for this one, to find the domain, you got to set the denominator equal to 0. So you would say x plus 2 is equal to 0, x equals negative 2. And then you have to exclude that. Now remember, your default catch answer is negative infinity to infinity. We need to take out negative 2. So how do I do it? Negative infinity to negative 2, union negative 2 to infinity. Notice we're using parentheses and not brackets. I see a lot of people who do negative infinity to negative 2 bracket, union negative 2 to infinity, and then argue, well, it's the same thing. No, it's altogether different. Bracket means you're including it. Parentheses means you're not. You don't want brackets. Brackets are bad. You want parentheses. Okay? Now for the next one. Jesus. So, continuing on this discussion. So, we need to try to find the domain for this. Again, one of the questions I always get is, well, what happens to the 4x plus 3? Well, you can take the 4x plus 3 and do this. Just hide it right behind there. Okay? Because all you need to worry about is the 3x minus 4. That's the part that concerns you, not the top piece. Set the bottom piece equal to 0. You get 3x equals 4. Divide by 3, divide by 3. X is equal to 4/3. Okay? Now, how do you write the answer? You're excluding 4/3. How do you exclude 4/3? Negative infinity to 4/3. Union 4/3 to infinity. Okay. We straight on that? Say it again, please. Yeah. There's a request to do one more as an example. I'll just do it right underneath here because I can. We'll say g of x equals x plus 5 over x minus 3. Okay? If I'm going to find the domain for that, ignore the top piece because you don't need to worry about the top piece. And you're going to get x minus 3 equals 0. X equals 3. So that's negative infinity to 3, union 3 to infinity. Now, what makes this hard? And this is where people get screwed up all the time. And I say it, damn knowing that it's going to happen. Because the test is next week, I think, or the week after. Next week, I think. And I know that as I sit here and I'm telling you this and it's being recorded, that people are going to jack this all to hell. Okay, and I know that because I've been teaching for like 6 weeks now and I've really gotten the hang of this stuff. But here's what happens. One test question will say this. Find the domain for f of x equals 2x plus 8. Next question would say f of x equals, 3 over 2x plus 8. And what happens to most people who are relatively uninformed is they just set everything equal to 0. Like that's their go-to move. I'm setting it equal to 0. Why? Well, he does it in class. No, you don't set this equal to 0. Why don't you set this equal to 0? And people go like this. Well, hell, I didn't know you weren't. I thought we were. You don't set this equal to 0 because it's not a fraction. This is not a fraction. Remember, negative infinity to infinity is our default answer for everything unless we have to start taking things away. What causes us to take things away? Fractions cause us to take things away. Square roots will at some point cause us to take things away. There's no fraction, there's no square root. This is nothing. That's just a straight line. And therefore it's negative infinity to infinity.
So our problem looks like number 1 would be
Negative infinity to infinity. Yeah. And I have ways of disguising that. Oh yeah.
Just a warning.
H of x equals 2/3 x plus 8/9. Still the same thing. Why? Because the x is not in the bottom. As long as the x is not in the bottom, I don't care what it looks like.
What if it's something like f of x equals 4x plus 3 over 3x minus 4, and then you have like 2 over 3x plus 8.
Where's that at?
I'm just saying, is that a problem?
No.
No.
I was going to say, I'd love to see that one. That sounds like a good one. Okay.
So when you were saying that 8 out of 10 times the answer is negative infinity to infinity, does that mean on the test that 8 out of 10 are not going to include fractions?
No.
I just have to throw it out there.
Yeah, no.
Good try.
No, I said in college algebra, when they ask you for domain, negative infinity to infinity is usually a good answer. Okay. I think in college algebra we do 6 basic graphs, and out of the 6, 5 of them have domains negative infinity to infinity. So 5 out of 6 is that's your answer if you just said it. Okay. But that's what happens though, is that people they don't really know why you're setting things equal to 0. And I think that's a very critical thing. As students will know we're setting equal to 0. Why? Well, because he does it in class. That's a horribly bad way to live life. Why are you doing this? Well, I don't know. Somebody else did. Okay. Good. All right. Do be careful.